So here we are, we're doing another interview today of one of the Balance registered saddling consultants. And today we're talking to Greta Gandolfi, who is based in Italy. And so we're going to get a little bit of background by asking these 4 questions. I've been asking all of the consultants the same 4 questions. So we'll just get a bit of feedback about what Greta is all about. So the first question, Greta, is, so how were you introduced to balance and this method of saddling?
I heard about a balance approach the first time around 2015, end of 14, 15, by Michael Vanzered, who is a Swiss instructor, who has been my main mentor from that time to date, regarding horse behavior, horse communication especially. And he's a great advocate of balance here in Europe. So I heard about balance the first time, I think during one of his clinic, and I got quite curious. And then I got the chance also to ride in balance saddle when I went the first time at his place, where every horse is ridden and started and ridden in balance saddle. So I rode some young horses there, and I got the first time to try the balance saddle. And from then it was, I have to say, quite a slow journey in realizing how important that aspect was. It was not a light bulb moment. It was more of a journey. I bought my own saddle, and then I appreciate more and more how important this approach and this aspect of riding is for the horse welfare.
Yeah, absolutely. Second question. So having discovered more and more and realized that this is quite an important thing to understand, then obviously at some point you decided you wanted to share this information with other people. What was it that motivated you to want to do the training to become one of the registered saddling consultants doing functional saddling?
And as I said, I realized how important it was, and then I spent 2 years at Mikey's place as a trainee when I decided to start working full-time with horses. And in that occasion, I also met Birgitta. During those 2 years, I had the chance to meet Birgitta Bergsten and to attend some consultation and workshop with her. After in 2018, I went home from Switzerland. I got back to Italy, and I started working full-time as a horse trainer and instructor. And at first I was most focusing on my horsemanship background, on communication, and especially I focused my work on how to develop a dialogue with the horse, a constant dialogue with the horse, regardless what our goal is and on the ground and riding. And I was trying to explore more the behavioral or communication aspect. But then I found myself that more and more I end up helping people also with the saddles, because there is a point where you cannot go further in your riding or in your improving the horse welfare if you don't look at this aspect. And so I was trying to help people, and I let them ride in my saddles, and I was doing some distant consultation with Birgitta, and so I started to think around 2019-20 that it was time to do it officially, to get the proper training from you and Birgitta, and do it and add this part to my job, which is now maybe I would say the more interesting part of my job at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. So the third question is, can you give me, what was it, when you think back to the people, and I know you haven't been doing the work officially for years, but I know you've been helping people with their saddles for quite a long time, even before you started the training, once you'd understood the importance and had a saddle that you could allow other people to try. So can you think back, what's the sort of most memorable moment that you've had of seeing horses going through that change?
Oh, well, of course there is, there are a lot of moments, because every horse I saw up to now, this, as you know very well, they start really changing immediately when they start a different approach. I think what I really liked, there were a few horses that I remember that they change not only physically, like of course the movement gets smoother and you see the horse more relaxed, but they really change their behavior. I remember one spooky horse who was very tense, and not only in the movement, he was really like look scared of things. And in the moment he tried the saddle, he changed in the moment, and the owner realized it immediately. And I used to think those kind of things has to be approached from a behavioral point of view or from an emotional point of view, like it's a relationship problem with the owner or something like that. And in that moment, I realized it's not always the case. Of course, it can be the case, and we can still work on that. But if the horse is only telling he's uncomfortable, and he expresses it in a very different ways, it could also be a behavioral way. So this also really impressed me to see that. And yes, I had it a few times.
Yes, it's one. I know it is wonderful, isn't it? Every time you see it, it's extraordinary. And I know for me over the years, what really has made an impression on me is when you see horses and ponies who are quite old, and they've only ever had saddles that were tight and uncomfortable and restricted their movement. And even then, after so many years, as soon as you put them into a saddle that they're more comfortable in and allows more movement, they just change. They're willing to let go of things like that so quickly, much better than human beings, for sure.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes.
And I think what you say is important, because as you say, when the horse is not comfortable and is not able to use its body in a sort of natural range, what riders don't always appreciate is how vulnerable that makes the horse feel. And so it's aware of the fact that it's not functioning properly. And so the fear factor, the adrenaline factor comes in, because the horse is aware of the fact in the wild, it relies on its speed and maneuverability to escape predators. And when we as human beings start putting things on horses and doing things to them that actually block that mobility, and then they immediately are on alert. They're more fearful. So all of those behavioral issues are likely to come to the front in that situation. So when the horse feels comfortable, feels mobile, not restricted, then the fear levels drop, and the whole conversation is very different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, and a lot of horse behaviors is not only about fear or instinct, but it's really like they try to communicate us or to change the situation. Yeah. And sometimes they want to change a physical situation, and they try to do it by expressive aggressiveness or fear or whatever, is just a way to try to change the situation. Yeah. And sometimes
what people sometimes interpret as being difficult or
exactly, but it's just their way to
resistant. Oh, the horse is being resistant. It's like,
but
why would it do that?
Yes, it's any behavior aspect.
Absolutely. And so the last question is, in what other ways do you help horses? I mean, you said earlier on that you're still involved and you train to do the teaching side and the training side. So that's something you're still doing.
Yes, I try not to integrate. There is a part that is like a basic training about horses or humans, like a basic training skills, or about establish a basic communication with the horse, mutual communication, a way to dialogue with the horse. Anytime, every time we are doing, from the most basic ground skill to the most advanced riding, but it's just about, to me, it's more about establish active dialogue with the horse, to be able to talk to him and to also get the information from the horse. This can go from, yes, like young horses or difficult horses or problem horses, as people like to call them. But actually, it also goes a bit more deep into help people, to help the horse to find a better balance and a better movement. And of course, this part I start to deepen now in the latest years, because I realize now how is really linked for the horse. The physical and the emotional and mental part is really strictly linked. So now I try to give the people more knowledge about how to help the horse also in a physical way, to keep them sound, to keep them happier, and also to establish this dialogue also in the physical way, because that's what we do when we ride. We are on the horse and we use our body to communicate and to have a dialogue with the horse body. So it is actually, I found all these things very linked to each other. They are not different topics for me.
Yeah, quite right. And because you've spent a lot of time with Birgitta, haven't you? So, and with Birgitta, she's been doing for some years her remedial program work with riders, and that's very effective in helping riders and horse owners to sort of understand some of the biomechanics and some of the ways that the horses can keep healthy in their movement and in their muscle development and stuff. So that's again, straightness and the quality of movement. That's the big issue, isn't it? It's paying attention to the quality of the movement. Rather, people get sort of very impressed with big movement, expressive movement, powerful movement, but it's this, the very simple basics of straightness and rhythm and so the ability to be relaxed but also powerful. All those things is what keeps the horse healthy and sound, as you say, and makes the horse much safer to ride, not just for the rider but also for itself, because it's protecting the horse from riding related stress is a big factor, isn't it? The saddles go part way, but as you say, the saddles and the way the horse is ridden and trained, they all work together. It is much more of a sort of holistic approach, and that word has been overused, I think, in the past few years, but it is a much more rounded approach that it sits behind what we call functional saddling. So brilliant. Okay, one more question, Greta. Obviously you're based in Italy, but I know you do travel as well. So how far do you travel? How far will you go to help horses in different countries even?
Yes, I am absolutely available and happy to travel abroad when there is people interested. At the moment, I have I had people in Austria, in Belgium, in France, and I would be very happy also to have more people in that range. I mean, it's the traveling is no problem for me, so it would be great.
And what about, have you been into northern Germany? Do you go that far?
I could, yes, I can. I didn't. I haven't gone there yet.
But you could.
But yes, absolutely. I normally try to organize my trip in a way that I can join more people and to do like a tour. So that's what I did last time, and in going to France, Belgium, and Austria. So it's absolutely possible. It's only about to have people interested and to organize the the trip.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely doable, as well as in Italy. I'm also available to travel in the north of Italy or in the south. It's just about having more people interested. I am actually very focused now also to get this approach more known also in Italy, and so hopefully more and more people will know about it.
So anybody in those countries that you mentioned, you're happy for them to contact you and talk about whether you can help them?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much. That's great. I shall enjoy sharing that. Thank you for your time, Greta.
Thank you very much.